Kandoindet nebo ng'echeret nebo MP en komosta nebo Kilgoris en county nebo Narok Peter Oibo kole chobot ine en lewenisiet nenyone nebo kenyitab 2027 kong'ololi ine en kokwetab Nkoiperie en igortab konoretab kipsomaniat Cynthia Shikuku Chelangat nebo greditab 9 nekikibeten sobenyin en biik chemokingen en oret nebo tabarnat komwa ine kole wendi kokere kole kanyor imanda familia nebo Cynthia Shikuku akomach keipchi kerkong'et nekim ichek tugul chekitinygei ak yautyonoton.
Narudi hapa hivi na mimi naambia wana ndugu yangu Bismarck, wewe ulitembea na kelele, lakini sasa mahali tuko, dawa ya hii kiti ya bunge 2027 ni wakili. Dawa ya wakili ni nani? Dawa ya wakili ni? Na nimesikia ile mambo imeniomba bwana Kokoyo. Mimi nitatembea pamoja na rafiki yangu bwana Edwin. Nitatembea na yeye, lazima mtapata ujumbe kwamba Edwin kuna mahali nimeenda na yeye, sitamwacha. Nimeambiwa pia na mwalimu bwana Babu kwamba hapa Nkoiperie kuna shida ya, tulikuwa na senior school, kuna maneno ya 3 toilets. Hizo 3 toilets mimi na confirm, mimi natangaza hizo 3 toilets ya walimu ya boys na girls, ili hapo pia hiyo senior school ikuwe registered. Finally nimesikia barabara yetu haijafanyika. Mimi natuma tinga katapila siku moja ipite hapa hivi, jaribu kufungua hiyo njia ili pia hapa hivi iweze kuonekana kwa maendeleo.
Chitab Kalenjin kotegemien county nebo Narok kokakomangalegen kandoik chebo county noton akorirtaen motwet netelelchin siretab afisaekab police en emoni kosipkei ak nekokaitonon kapkirwok nebo emoni siret nebo kurutiek chebo afisaekab police chebendi kesiren betut nenyone nebo Jumatatu wikit nenyone. Kosipkei ak Joanna Kamilan ne agenge en biik cheborchingei imandab kipkosobe en county nebo Narok, kamwa ine kole nyolu kotononjigei kebeberta nebo police en emoni. Ole kosom ine serikalitab emoni kokushikon komosta nebo NYS en emoni asikonyorchigei makatiat nebo kila betut. Kong'ololi ine en komostanyin anan kong'ololi en komosta nebo Chesamis nemiten en komosta nebo Murwabegi county nebo Narok en konoretab mwalimu Jonathan Mutai.
Mimi nataka tu niseme ya kwamba ninalaumu kitengo cha police commission. Police commission anasumbua polisi aza kwa hii ajira ya kuajiri kurudi mpya watu 10,000. Hiyo tunakataa kusumbuliwa idara ya polisi kwa kuajiri makurutu, sababu vijana na wasichana wamerudika nyumbani. Alafu mtu ambaye anasimamia commission analeta shida yake, ujinga yake, mpaka anazuia kazi ya vijana kwa Kenya. Hiyo ni kitu haistahili na lazima sisi tukatae tukiwa wananchi, sababu hiyo ni kazi ya watoto ambaye tungekuwa tumepata kwa kila kijiji imeajiriwa watu wangapi. Lakini sasa itapaka 2026 hiyo ujinga ya police commission angekuwa anashughulikia youth service watu ya NYS, sababu ni watu wako na tabu kwa dunia hii, ameajiriwa na hana mshahara. Anazuia hii kwa nini? Na walifu za hii wamejaa kila kona Kenya. So hiyo ni kitu tunasema president usikie, ngalau sheria kweli Kenya hatuko kama Waafrika wengine. Yes, lakini juzi nilipenda magistrate alirule kesi ya kwamba mambo ya security awajiliwe polisi kusajili na kupika transfer na kupandisha madaraka. Sababu kupandisha madaraka itakuwa police commission. Mtu kama ameenda kupambana na walifu, ameponyoka, anasaidia nchi, mtu anatangatanga kwa ofisi sio polisi, atasaidia nini nchi? So hiyo madaraka ya polisi ikae kwa polisi na tupee sisi tukiwa wa Kenya. Na ninaomba bunge wasungumuze police commission ni kusaidia kama watu ya NYS kupata mshahara, sababu ni watoto ambao
ameajiriwa. Kulatit kokakolaljen kimnatet neki minister en kasarage nebo ripsetab kalyet en emet orit Fred Matiang'i president nebo emoni Dr. William Samoei Ruto en mwoe kole momokengi chametabgei nebo biik cheborchingei imandab kipkosobe cheboto Bon Njagi ak Nicholas Oyoo nekikirat ak keker en Uganda arawet agenge. Kama Matiang'i kole kikometo president biikab emet en kasuldaetab boisionikab bandab tai kole en komosta kolenyin kokoyesha akine kandoindet nebo Wiper Kalonzo Musyoka ng'alalet age tugul ak president nebo emoni nekamwa kole rutoitab president en kebeberta noton nebo Ukambani komobo tetutikab bandab tai kobaten bo suryondit ak bororiondit.
Gets them out of that place, it takes the retired president to go and negotiate there and talk kwa sababu yeye ndiye anaheshimiwa na wale kuwacha watoto wetu. I mean, how much more incompetent can you be, honestly?
To cheat a whole nation. If there's a contractor on site, that contractor should be continuing. Of course, they'll come and say, oh, we're going to mobilize and whatever. But as a president, you should not have allowed them to go and launch a non-existing contract. Perhaps it's not even in the budget.
Chitab kalenjin yekitesetai logoiwek kokakomwa minista nebo muswoknotet en emet William Mbugua kole anan Kabogo kole kokonde kakwautik tugul chekibendi kekirindoen boisiet ak muswoknotetab kasari en oret nemakararan ole kokinde budget nebo keborien boisiet neya nebo muswoknotetab kasari. Kamwa ine kole miten alak en biikab emet missing ko neranik cheboisien muswoknotetab kasari en kanyaliletab biik ak boisiet neya cheboto chorset ole kamwa kole kokonde kakwautik serikalitab emoni nebo keteren boisiet neya nebo muswoknotetab kasari akomwa ine kole kibendi keipchin kerkong'et ichek tugul chekinyoru koboisien muswoknotetab kasari en oret nemanyolunot.
Is very clear. Includes the behavior that is likely to cause harm or suicide. That is a new thing. Phishing, identity theft, virtual assets and digital accounts. These are things that, we passed the law the other day on virtual assets. We also have court orders that can remove harmful content. Mark my words, court orders. We can now get courts to give orders to shut down some of these things that cause problems for Kenyans, not for government. We have a very strong computer incident response, what we call KESAT, for incident response. We have the National Cyber Security Committee. And now, of late, we have just passed creation of the National Cyber Security Agency, under which the National Cyber Committee, NC4, will be working with independent budget. So what we are telling Kenyans is that we have actually enhanced a budget to deal with cyber.
Kitegemea logoiwek chetinye kak boisiet nekararan nebo muswoknotetab kasari kokakocher kimwamotinik chebo muswoknotetab kasari emetab Kenya kokimit kanetishetab muswoknotetab kasari en mwaet kele tesetai kowendi barak magetab biik chetinye utotiet nebo muswoknotetab kasari en ng'wony. En chikilisiet nekoyai kibagengetab chikilisietab muswoknotetab kasari anan Fred Nauman Foundation for Freedom Kenya koboru kole muswoknotetab kasari neboisien emet neu German kokonu boroindo neo nebo boisietab muswoknotetab kasari en melekwek chemiten barak kot missing. Kates kimwamotinik choton kole nyolu en kiboitinikab muswoknotetab kasari en emetab Kenya kokimit boisietab ng'atutik chekikitet asikonyorunen kelchin emetab Kenya ingiyonien ak emet neu India kokonu tetutik chekororon.
The global north is witnessing demographic changes. It's an aging population. The economies of Europe, of Germany, are in dire need of skilled experts, especially in the fields of IT, while much of the global south, and Kenya is a prime example here, has a useful population, a talented population with a great supply of talents, especially in the IT sector. And the idea is to see how we can bring together this supply of skills and labor in Kenya with the demand by the economy in Germany through remote work.
We seem to have a different or shortage in the specialization required in Europe. And therefore it means that if you're going to compete for these jobs, we must begin to have the certifications or evidence of that skill that is being demanded in Europe or in Germany. And therefore it means that we must begin to think about strategic upskilling.
So the youth unemployment thing is both a serious challenge, but also a big opportunity for Kenya. But it is such a big issue that it does require all hands on deck. It requires the work of government to come up with structure, to come up with very clear, practical ways of creating employment. It requires private sector to do its.
Hagen logoiwek chetinye kak lewenishet kokakotorchi siyet kibagengeit neteleljin lewenishet koboto kamaretab kiwatoshekab emoni IEBC biik chesome kura en kot neking'oten ng'atutik nebo Kasipul en lewenishet netetat keya en tarikit 27 arawaniton kosubkei ak ng'emet nebo kalyet nekokebaorionchi en kebeberatan. Kong'ololi yekan kobata tuiyetab kalyet nekakiyoen anan nekakiyoen en nganasetab Nairobi komwa nebo ng'echeret en IEBC Erastus Ethekon kole tindo IEBC kamuget nebo koisto chi age tugul nesome kura yekinyor ak lelutiet netinyegei ak lewenishet. En kasaraton kokamwa Inspector General nebo Police Douglas Kanja kole bendi konomegei eun ak kibagengeit nebo IEBC koker kole kakikimit kalyet en kasarta nebo lewenishet neming'in.
Empaneled the Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee, which will commence its work on Monday, to summon those candidates in Kasipul and anybody who has information on this or on what happened. Any breaches of the Code of Conduct, of course, will attract penalties, will attract some form of punishment, including fines, and in severe cases, it might force us to cancel or to disqualify those candidates who will be found to have breached the Electoral Code of Conduct.
Any person who involves himself in a manner that causes breach of the law, including all the other areas therein included and many others, the National Police Service will not allow.
We have groups that have organized themselves to sell violence. And these provide people or goons who will do the dirty work.
Yekitesetai logoiwek ak chitab Kalenjin ko kakocher neranik kibagengeit anan kakocher neranik kibagengeit neteleljin kanisosiek en emoni NCCK kosirgei koik birikab kura en lewenishet neo nenyone nebo kenyitab 2027. Kakomach kora neranik kandoik cheterter chebo dini kostoegei kandoikab bolotet cheimosi icheket ak rabinik ak cheikochin komuiset kandoik alak cheibeljingei tugul en kamwa kole ng'eme noton demokrasia nebo emoni. Kong'ololi county nebo Nakuru kokakon en kibagengeit nebo NCCK ng'atutik chelelach chetononjin kanisosiek chetere kandoikab bolotet kotesentai bolotosiek en kanisa koret agenge nebo keriben tililindab kanisa.
Of a better Kenya you painted in your hearts, and the word will be realized when you become active drivers and actors in the electoral process. Your active participation as voters and candidates will nullify the narrative being peddled that the election will be rigged. For sure, the only rigging that can be done is keeping the Gen Z away from the polls. The open bribery of voters with money, food, goodies, and promises, coupled with buying out of aspirants and huge sums of money, is killing democracy. If this is a precursor of how things will be in 2027, then Kenyans have even reason to worry. We advise all voters to reject and refuse to vote for any candidate associated with bribery, intimidation of opponents. All monetary and material contributions should be treated as offering and should not be announced or given with fanfare. 3, politicians should not be around to address congregants inside the church, but instead speak to the people outside the church building after the service. 4, church leaders must remain objective and non-partisan and avoid endorsing or opposing any political leader or party.
Instead, they are being used to perpetuate injustice in the nation. We call upon the holders of these offices to either execute their mandates or vacate.
Chitab Kalenjin age logoiyon kobun kibagengeit nebo kanisosiek en emoni NCCK kokakiwong logoiwek yogen koindo chekakimuch ketetun en mesetab logoiwek nebo kotab Kat TV. Kongoi missing director nenyunet Geoffrey Bet koboto Titus Rop Mercy Chepkemoi nekomiten kebeberta noton nebo muswoknotetab kasari ak Anita Chemutai nekomiten komosto noton nebo kamera ak nekosomonwok logoiwek chuton ko Yvonne Chepkoech. Nina makwag weekend nemie nebo kaberuretab Jehova.